Public speaking for beginners. Overcome fear and speak with confidence. Master communication skills, engage your audience, and deliver powerful speeches. JonathanKHari. The power of public speaking. Why speaking well matters. Public speaking is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. It has the power to inspire, persuade, and educate. Whether addressing a small group or a large audience, effective communication can open doors, build confidence, and create new opportunities. Throughout history, great speakers have shaped societies, driven change, and left lasting legacies. But public speaking isn't just for politicians, leaders, or motivational speakers. It's a skill that benefits everyone, from students and professionals to entrepreneurs and everyday individuals. At its core, public speaking is about connection. A speaker doesn't simply deliver words. They share ideas, evoke emotions, and engage their listeners in a meaningful way. The way a message is conveyed often determines how well it is received. A well-crafted and passionately delivered speech can leave a lasting impression, while a poorly communicated one can be easily forgotten. Public speaking is not just about saying the right words, but delivering them with clarity, confidence, and conviction. One of the biggest advantages of public speaking is its ability to boost self-confidence. Standing in front of an audience and expressing thoughts effectively requires courage. The more a person practices speaking, the more they become comfortable in their own voice. This newfound confidence often extends beyond the stage, improving day-to-day conversations, professional interactions, and even personal relationships. Those who master public speaking tend to exude confidence in all aspects of life, making them more persuasive, authoritative, and respected in their respective fields. In the professional world, the ability to communicate effectively can set individuals apart. Whether in business meetings, interviews, or presentations, strong speaking skills can enhance career prospects. Employers value employees who can articulate ideas clearly and present their thoughts with poise. Leaders who can communicate their vision effectively are more likely to inspire their teams, gain trust, and drive success. In many cases, a well-delivered presentation or pitch can be the deciding factor in securing a job, closing a deal, or advancing in one's career. Public speaking also plays a crucial role in education and advocacy. Teachers, trainers, and educators rely on effective speaking skills to impart knowledge and engage students. Advocates and activists use public speaking to bring attention to important social issues, influencing public opinion and inspiring change. From TED Talks to political speeches, spoken words have the power to spark movements, challenge perspectives, and unite communities. History has shown that some of the most impactful changes in society have come from compelling speeches that rallied people toward a common cause. Beyond its practical applications, public speaking is an art form. It involves storytelling, persuasion, and performance. Great speakers know how to capture their audience's attention, maintain engagement, and leave a lasting impression. They use tone, body language, and pacing to enhance their message, making their words more powerful and memorable. A speech that resonates with an audience is not just heard, it is felt. One of the most common fears people have is speaking in front of an audience. The fear of judgment, making mistakes, or forgetting one's words can be overwhelming. However, public speaking is a skill that can be developed with practice. Many of the world's most renowned speakers once struggled with stage fright but overcame their fears through preparation and experience. The more someone speaks in front of others, the easier it becomes. Each speaking opportunity builds confidence, helping individuals become more comfortable expressing their thoughts and ideas. Public speaking is also an essential tool for networking and relationship building. Whether at conferences, social events, or professional gatherings, the ability to speak well can leave a positive impression. It allows individuals to engage in meaningful conversations, share ideas effectively, and establish credibility. In a world that is increasingly interconnected, those who can communicate well have a significant advantage in building professional and personal relationships. Moreover, public speaking enhances critical thinking and organization skills. A good speech requires structure, logical flow, and clarity of thought. When preparing for a speech, a speaker must analyze their audience, refine their message, and present it in a way that is compelling and easy to understand. This process improves a person's ability to organize ideas, think on their feet, and articulate thoughts with precision. The ability to break down complex ideas and communicate them effectively is a skill that benefits all areas of life. The impact of public speaking extends to personal growth as well. Being able to share one's thoughts and opinions confidently can be empowering. It allows individuals to express themselves more openly, advocate for their beliefs, and contribute to meaningful discussions. Many people find that as they improve their speaking skills, they also develop a stronger sense of self-awareness and a deeper understanding of their own thoughts and perspectives. In today's digital age, public speaking is not limited to physical stages. Online platforms, podcasts, webinars, and virtual meetings have made communication skills more relevant than ever. Those who can speak well in both in-person and virtual settings are better equipped to navigate the modern world. The ability to present ideas effectively, whether through a camera or on a stage, is an invaluable asset in professional and personal settings. Public speaking is not just about delivering a speech, it's about making an impact. It is a skill that can transform careers, influence minds, and inspire change. While the journey to becoming a confident speaker may be challenging, the rewards are well worth the effort. Anyone can learn to speak with clarity, confidence, and conviction. With practice, preparation, and a willingness to step outside one's comfort zone, public speaking can become a powerful tool for personal and professional growth. Overcoming stage fright. Conquering fear and anxiety. Stage fright is one of the most common fears people experience, and it affects even the most seasoned speakers at times. The feeling of standing in front of an audience, all eyes fixed on you, can be intimidating. The heart races, palms sweat, the mind goes blank, and suddenly, forming coherent sentences seems like an impossible task. It is a universal fear, one that stems from the deep-rooted anxiety of being judged, making mistakes, or not living up to expectations. But stage fright is not an unshakable force. It is a challenge that can be overcome with the right mindset, preparation, and practice. Fear of public speaking is often tied to self-doubt. The internal voice that whispers, "What if I forget my words?" or "What if they don't take me seriously?" becomes louder than the actual message a speaker wants to convey. These fears are not rooted in reality, but in perception. Most audiences are not waiting for a speaker to fail. They are there to listen, to learn, and to be engaged. The more a speaker realizes that the audience is not the enemy, but rather a group of people hoping for a good experience, the easier it becomes to step onto the stage with confidence. The physical symptoms of stage fright can be overwhelming. The pounding heart, the shaky hands, the dry throat. These sensations can make a person feel completely out of control. However, they are simply the body's response to stress, much like an adrenaline rush before an important event. Recognizing that these feelings are normal and temporary can help reduce their intensity. Rather than trying to eliminate them completely, a speaker can learn to manage them and even use that energy to enhance their delivery. One of the most effective ways to overcome stage fright is through preparation. The more familiar a speaker is with their material, the less likely they are to feel nervous. Knowing the content inside and out builds confidence. Practicing multiple times, refining key points, and even rehearsing in front of a mirror or a small group can help solidify the speech. When a speaker is well prepared, they reduce the fear of forgetting what to say because the words become second nature. Visualization is another powerful technique for conquering anxiety. Before stepping onto the stage, picturing a successful presentation, imagining the audience engaged and responding positively, can help reframe nervous energy into excitement. Many professional speakers use this mental rehearsal technique to train their minds to associate speaking with success rather than fear. The more a person envisions themselves performing well, the more their mind and body align with that expectation. Then, Breathing exercises and relaxation techniques can also play a significant role in calming nerves. Deep, controlled breathing helps slow the heart rate and bring a sense of control back to the body. Simple breathing techniques, such as inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, and exhaling for 4 seconds, can ground a speaker before taking the stage. Muscle relaxation exercises, where one tenses and then releases different parts of the body, can also help relieve tension and create a state of physical ease before speaking. Another effective strategy is shifting the focus away from oneself and onto the audience. Stage fright often stems from self-consciousness, worrying about how one looks, sounds, or is perceived. However, public speaking is not about the speaker, it is about the message being delivered. By focusing on the value of the speech and how it benefits the audience, a speaker can redirect their attention outward rather than inward. When the emphasis is on helping, educating, or inspiring others, the fear of personal performance diminishes. Small, gradual exposure to public speaking can also help desensitize a person to stage fright. Starting with low-pressure situations, such as speaking in front of friends or participating in small discussions, can build confidence over time. Joining groups like Toastmasters or taking public speaking classes can provide a supportive environment for practice. The more frequently a person speaks in public, the less intimidating it becomes. Confidence grows with experience, and each successful speaking engagement makes the next one easier. One of the biggest misconceptions about stage fright is that it must be completely eliminated to be a good speaker. The truth is, even the most accomplished speakers experience nervousness. The difference is that they have learned to manage it rather than let it control them. Instead of fearing nervousness, speakers can learn to embrace it as part of the process. A slight rush of adrenaline can actually enhance performance, making a speech more dynamic and energetic. 8. Mistakes are often a major source of anxiety, but they are not as catastrophic as they may seem. Forgetting a word, stumbling over a sentence, or losing track of a thought happens even to the best speakers. What truly matters is how a speaker handles those moments. Taking a deep breath, pausing, and continuing with confidence is far more effective than panicking. Most audiences do not notice small errors, and even when they do, they are usually understanding and supportive. Perfection is not the goal. Connection is. Developing a personal speaking style can also help ease anxiety. Trying to imitate others or follow rigid speech patterns can feel unnatural and increase self-doubt. Authenticity is key. Speaking in a way that feels natural, using gestures and expressions that align with one's personality, and allowing some spontaneity can make public speaking feel less like a performance and more like a conversation. When a speaker is comfortable being themselves, the fear of judgment decreases. Humor and storytelling are also powerful tools for easing nerves. A well-placed joke or an engaging personal story can not only make the audience feel more connected, but also make the speaker feel more at ease. Laughter can break tension, both for the speaker and the audience, creating a more relaxed atmosphere. Personal stories make a speech feel more human and relatable, reducing the pressure of delivering everything perfectly. The mindset surrounding public speaking is just as important as the techniques used to prepare. Viewing speaking opportunities as a chance to share rather than a test to pass can shift the entire experience. Instead of seeing an audience as a group of critics, seeing them as supporters or learners can change the way a speaker approaches the stage. Adopting a growth mindset, understanding that improvement comes with practice, can make setbacks feel like stepping stones rather than failures. With time, patience, and consistent effort, stage fright can be transformed from a paralyzing fear into a manageable challenge. Every great speaker was once a nervous beginner. The difference between those who struggle with public speaking and those who excel is not a lack of fear, but a willingness to push through it. The first speech may be nerve-wracking, the second slightly easier, and before long, the once terrifying act of speaking in front of others can become second nature. Thus, no one is born a fearless speaker, but anyone can become one. The key is to start, to step onto that stage despite the nerves, to embrace the discomfort and turn it into growth. Overcoming stage fright is not about never feeling nervous. It is about learning how to move forward despite it. And once a speaker learns to do that, they unlock the power to communicate, inspire, and lead in ways they never thought possible. The mindset of a confident speaker. Building self-assurance. Confidence in public speaking is not something that people are simply born with. It is developed over time through practice, experience, and a shift in mindset. Many assume that great speakers have an innate ability to stand before an audience without fear, but in reality, even the most accomplished orators have had to work on building their confidence. Confidence in speaking does not mean the absence of nerves. It means having the ability to manage those nerves and deliver a message with conviction. The right mindset is what separates those who struggle with public speaking from those who thrive on stage. At the heart of a confident speaker's mindset is the belief in the value of their message. Many people become anxious about public speaking because they focus too much on themselves, how they sound, how they look, whether they will make mistakes. But effective speakers shift their focus away from themselves and onto their audience. They recognize that their role is not to impress, but to communicate something meaningful. When speakers believe that what they have to say matters, their words carry more weight, and their presence becomes stronger. Confidence comes from knowing that the message is more important than personal insecurities. One of the biggest barriers to confidence is self-doubt. The inner critic, that nagging voice that says, "You're not good enough," or "People won't take you seriously," can be paralyzing. Many speakers struggle with imposter syndrome, feeling as though they are not qualified or knowledgeable enough to stand before an audience. The truth is that everyone has something valuable to share. Experience, perspective, and personal stories all contribute to a speaker's uniqueness. Recognizing that no one else has the exact same experiences or insights allows speakers to own their space with confidence. Second, reframing fear as excitement is a powerful mental shift that helps build confidence. The physical sensations of nervousness, racing heart, sweaty palms, shaky hands, are similar to those experienced during excitement. Instead of seeing those feelings as a sign of fear, speakers can choose to interpret them as energy. The body is preparing to perform at its best, heightening awareness and focus. This shift in perception can turn anxiety into a powerful tool rather than an obstacle. Some of the best performances in history have come from speakers who learned to channel nervous energy into enthusiasm. Preparation is one of the strongest foundations of confidence. When a speaker knows their material inside and out, they eliminate much of the uncertainty that fuels anxiety. Confidence does not come from wishing away fear, but from knowing that they have done the work. Practicing a speech repeatedly, refining key points, and becoming familiar with the structure makes the act of speaking feel less daunting. A well-prepared speaker walks onto the stage, knowing that they are in control of their words and ideas. Repetition builds familiarity, and familiarity breeds confidence. A confident speaker also understands the importance of presence. The way a person carries themselves on stage influences how they feel and how the audience perceives them. Good posture, open gestures, and deliberate movements signal confidence, even if a speaker does not feel entirely self-assured. There is a psychological connection between body language and mindset. Standing tall, maintaining eye contact, and using controlled hand gestures can trick the brain into feeling more confident. A speaker who appears comfortable on stage naturally earns the trust of the audience. Another key element in developing confidence is accepting that mistakes are a natural part of public speaking. Many people fear that if they stumble over words, forget a point, or make an error, they will lose credibility. The reality is that audiences are far more forgiving than speakers imagine. Small mistakes are often overlooked or quickly forgotten. What matters most is how a speaker handles those moments. Taking a pause, correcting the mistake with grace, and continuing without panic demonstrate professionalism. Even the most famous speakers occasionally make errors, but their confidence allows them to recover smoothly. Hence, confidence is also built through experience. The first few times speaking in front of an audience may feel nerve-wracking, but each attempt makes the next one easier. Every time a person steps onto a stage, they gain valuable experience that strengthens their ability to handle different speaking situations. Exposure is one of the best ways to desensitize the fear of public speaking. Speaking at small gatherings, participating in discussions, and gradually working up to larger audiences helps build comfort and self-assurance over time. There is no shortcut confidence. It comes from repeated practice and real-world experience. The way a speaker mentally prepares before stepping onto a stage plays a significant role in their confidence level. Visualization is a technique used by many successful speakers to create a sense of control before a speech. By mentally picturing themselves delivering a successful presentation, engaging the audience, and receiving positive reactions, speakers can train their brains to associate speaking with success rather than fear. The more a person visualizes a positive outcome, the more their mind and body align with that expectation. Confidence also comes from embracing authenticity. Trying to mimic someone else's speaking style or forcing an unnatural way of delivering a speech often backfires. Audiences respond best to speakers who are genuine and relatable. When a speaker allows their natural personality to shine through, they come across as more credible and engaging. Confidence is not about perfection. It is about being comfortable in one's own skin. A speaker who believes in themselves, their story, and their message will naturally exude confidence. The power of positive self-talk should not be underestimated. The way a speaker speaks to themselves before a presentation shapes their level of confidence. Negative self-talk, statements like, "I'm going to fail," or "I'm not good at this," can reinforce fear and self-doubt. On the other hand, replacing those thoughts with affirmations like, "I am prepared," "I have something valuable to share," and "I can handle this," can create a more positive and confident mindset. The words we say to ourselves influence how we feel and ultimately how we perform. Another important aspect of confidence is learning to embrace silence. Many speakers fear pauses and rush through their words to avoid any moments of quiet. However, confident speakers understand that silence is a powerful tool. Pausing after key points allows the audience to absorb the message and gives the speaker time to collect their thoughts. Speaking too quickly can make a speaker appear nervous, while controlled pacing and intentional pauses demonstrate confidence. Confidence in speaking does not mean the absence of nervousness, but rather the ability to move forward despite it. Even the greatest speakers feel some level of anxiety before stepping onto a stage, but they have learned to trust themselves and their ability to handle the moment. The more a speaker learns to manage their mindset, the more natural confidence becomes. It is not about erasing fear, but about mastering it. The moment a speaker realizes that they are in control of their own experience, they unlock a level of confidence that transforms the way they communicate. A confident speaker does not seek perfection, but instead focuses on connection. When the goal shifts from trying to perform flawlessly to simply engaging with an audience, the pressure to be perfect disappears. Public speaking is about sharing ideas, telling stories, and creating moments of impact. Confidence is not about having all the answers or never making mistakes. It is about believing in the value of what is being said and delivering it with conviction. The journey to becoming a confident speaker is one of continuous growth. Every speech, every presentation, and every moment spent refining speaking skills adds another layer of assurance. With the right mindset, public speaking transforms from a source of anxiety into an opportunity for influence, leadership, and personal growth. The power of a confident speaker is not in their ability to be fearless, but in their ability to stand before an audience, embrace the moment, and speak with self-assurance, no matter what. Know your audience. How to tailor your message effectively. One of the most crucial aspects of public speaking is understanding who you are speaking to. No matter how well prepared a speech may be, if it does not resonate with the audience, its impact will be lost. A powerful speaker is not just someone who can talk eloquently, but someone who knows how to connect with the people in front of them. Every audience is different, with unique interests, knowledge levels, and expectations. The ability to tailor a message so that it speaks directly to the audience's needs and concerns is what separates a forgettable speech from one that truly inspires, educates, or motivates. The first step in knowing an audience is gathering as much information as possible about them before the speech. A speaker must consider key factors such as age, cultural background, education level, profession, and interests. These details shape the way a message should be framed. Speaking to a room full of executives requires a different approach than addressing a group of high school students. A speech delivered to an academic audience may focus on research, data, and logical arguments, while a speech to a community group may rely more on storytelling and emotional appeal. The more a speaker understands their audience, the more effectively they can craft their message. A common mistake speakers make is assuming that their audience shares the same level of knowledge on a topic. What may seem obvious to the speaker could be completely new to the audience. Jargon, technical terms, or industry-specific language can create a disconnect if listeners are unfamiliar with them. A good speaker ensures that their language is accessible and clear, avoiding unnecessary complexity while still maintaining credibility. At the same time, speaking too simplistically to an audience that is highly knowledgeable can come across as condescending or unprepared. Striking the right balance requires careful consideration of what the audience already knows and what they need to learn. Nedas. Understanding the audience's expectations is equally important. Every audience arrives with a certain set of expectations about what they will hear. A business conference audience may expect insights into industry trends, practical strategies, or data-driven analysis. A motivational event audience may be looking for inspiration, personal stories, and emotional engagement. If a speaker fails to meet those expectations, even a well-delivered speech can feel irrelevant or disappointing. By anticipating what the audience hopes to gain, a speaker can structure their message in a way that fulfills those needs. Adapting the tone of a speech to fit the audience is another key element of effective communication. A casual, humorous tone might be perfect for a speech at a social event but could feel out of place in a formal corporate setting. Similarly, an overly serious tone might not engage an audience that expects a more relaxed and interactive approach. The best speakers are those who can adjust their tone naturally, sensing the mood of the room and responding accordingly. A speaker who can read their audience and make subtle shifts in delivery creates a stronger connection and keeps listeners engaged. Cultural sensitivity is an often overlooked but vital part of knowing an audience. Different cultures have different norms, values, and ways of communicating. What might be considered humorous or appropriate in one culture could be seen as offensive or unprofessional in another. A speaker who is addressing an international audience should be especially mindful of cultural differences, avoiding assumptions that may not apply to everyone in the room. Simple efforts such as researching cultural customs or acknowledging diverse perspectives can help make a speech more inclusive and respectful. One of the most effective ways to connect with an audience is through shared experiences and relatable examples. People respond best to stories, references, and analogies that feel relevant to their own lives. A speaker who can incorporate examples that align with the audience's daily experiences or challenges immediately creates a sense of connection. If a speaker is addressing healthcare professionals, using medical-related examples will resonate more than generic business analogies. If the audience consists of young entrepreneurs, references to startup culture and innovation will feel more meaningful than corporate case studies. The more personalized a message feels, the more engaged the audience will be. S. The structure of a speech should also reflect the way the audience processes information. Some audiences prefer a logical, step-by-step approach with clear takeaways, while others are more receptive to a narrative-driven format. A technical audience may appreciate a breakdown of data and methodology, while a general audience may respond better to high-level insights with practical applications. A speaker who understands how their audience thinks can organize their speech in a way that is both engaging and easy to follow. Engagement is a two-way street, and the most effective speakers do not just talk at their audience but interact with them. Finding ways to involve the audience, whether through questions, humor, eye contact, or direct acknowledgement, creates a more dynamic experience. Some audiences enjoy active participation, such as group discussions or interactive elements, while others prefer a more traditional listening experience. A speaker who can gauge the level of engagement that works best for their audience will create a more memorable and impactful speech. Adapting in real time is an essential skill for any speaker. No matter how well prepared a speech is, unexpected factors can arise. The audience may not react as expected. Attention may start to drift, or certain points may not land as intended. A skilled speaker is able to adjust their approach on the spot, picking up on subtle cues like body language, facial expressions, and levels of responsiveness. If an audience looks confused, the speaker may need to slow down and clarify key points. If they appear disengaged, adding energy, humor, or interaction may be necessary to regain their attention. The ability to be flexible and responsive makes a speaker more effective. Another powerful technique in tailoring a message is emotional appeal. Logic and facts are important, but people are often moved more by emotions than by pure information. A speaker who can tap into emotions, whether through compelling storytelling, personal anecdotes, or passionate delivery, creates a deeper connection with the audience. People may forget the specific words of a speech, but they remember how it made them feel. The ability to evoke the right emotions at the right time strengthens a speaker's ability to leave a lasting impression. The size of an audience also influences how a speech should be delivered. Speaking to a small, intimate group allows for a conversational approach, where direct interaction and eye contact play a bigger role. Speaking to a large audience, on the other hand, requires a more projected voice, broader gestures, and a commanding stage presence to ensure that the message reaches everyone in the room. The physical setting, acoustics, and level of formality all play a role in how a message should be adapted. 4. A speaker's credibility is another factor that affects how an audience receives a message. Different audiences respond to different forms of authority. An academic audience may be more convinced by credentials, research, and citations, while a business audience may be more influenced by experience, case studies, and practical applications. A speaker must establish credibility in a way that aligns with what their audience values most. Being transparent about expertise and experiences helps build trust and engagement. Ultimately, the ability to tailor a message effectively comes down to putting the audience first. A speech is not about the speaker, it is about the people listening. The more effort put into understanding the audience, the more impactful the message becomes. No two audiences are the same, and a one-size-fits-all approach rarely leads to success. The best speakers are those who see every speech as an opportunity to connect, inspire, and adapt in a way that makes each presentation feel uniquely suited to the people in the room. When a speaker truly knows their audience, they are no longer just delivering a speech. They are creating an experience that resonates, informs, and leaves a lasting impact. Crafting a powerful speech structure, storytelling, and flow. A great speech is more than just a collection of words. It is a carefully crafted experience designed to inform, persuade, inspire, or entertain. While some speeches may seem effortless, they are almost always the result of thoughtful construction, refined structure, and intentional storytelling. A speech that lacks a clear structure can feel scattered and lose its impact, no matter how compelling the subject matter. A well-crafted speech, on the other hand, guides the audience through a journey, building engagement and delivering a message in a way that feels natural and compelling. At the heart of any powerful speech is a strong structure. Just as a house needs a solid foundation to stand, a speech needs an organized framework to be effective. A clear beginning, middle, and end provide a sense of direction and keep both the speaker and audience focused. Without structure, even the most interesting speech can feel disorganized or difficult to follow. Audiences need a roadmap, something that tells them where the speech is starting, where it is going, and how it will get there. This is what makes structure so essential. It is the invisible thread that ties everything together. The introduction is the audience's first impression, and it sets the tone for the entire speech. A weak introduction can lose an audience before the real message even begins, while a strong opening grabs attention and builds anticipation. There are many ways to start a speech. Some speakers open with a powerful quote, a surprising fact, a thought-provoking question, or a compelling personal story. The key is to create an immediate connection, making the audience feel like they need to keep listening. A great introduction also establishes credibility, giving the audience a reason to trust and invest in the speaker's words. It should clearly introduce the main topic without giving everything away at once. Once the audience is engaged, the speech moves into its core content. This is where ideas are explored, arguments are made, and stories are told. Without a logical flow, even the most well-researched points can feel disconnected. A strong speech guides the audience naturally from one point to the next, creating a seamless progression of thoughts. Transitions play a crucial role in this process, preventing abrupt shifts that can confuse or disorient listeners. A speech should feel like a conversation, where each idea builds on the previous one, leading the audience step by step through the message. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools in public speaking. Facts and figures may be important, but it is stories that people remember. Humans are wired for narratives. We connect with emotions, personal experiences, and relatable moments far more than with abstract data. A well-placed story can bring a speech to life, making it more engaging and memorable. Stories have the power to illustrate complex ideas in a way that is easy to understand. They make information feel real, putting abstract concepts into a relatable context. The best speeches often include stories that evoke emotion, whether through humor, inspiration, or empathy. A great story in a speech should have a clear purpose. It should tie into the overall message rather than feeling like a random addition. Stories can be used to introduce a point, reinforce an argument, or provide a memorable closing moment. The most effective stories are those that feel personal and authentic. When a speaker shares something real, an experience, a challenge, a moment of triumph, it creates a sense of trust and connection. Audiences respond best when they feel the speaker is speaking from genuine experience rather than reciting a rehearsed anecdote. The flow of a speech determines how smoothly it moves from one section to the next. A speech with poor flow feels disjointed, making it difficult for the audience to stay engaged. Good flow comes from clear transitions, a natural progression of ideas, and an awareness of pacing. A speech should not feel rushed or dragged out. Instead, it should move at a rhythm that keeps the audience interested without overwhelming them. One of the biggest mistakes speakers make is cramming too much information into a single speech. More information does not always mean more impact. Clarity and focus are far more valuable than an overload of facts. Pacing is an often overlooked aspect of speechcraft. A speaker who talks too quickly may lose their audience, while one who speaks too slowly can bore them. Variation in pacing can add emphasis to key points. Pausing after an important statement allows the audience to absorb the message. Silence, when used effectively, can be just as powerful as words. A well-timed pause can create suspense, highlight a key takeaway, or give the speaker a moment to collect their thoughts. It is one of the simplest but most effective ways to command attention and give weight to important ideas. The conclusion of a speech is just as important as the beginning. A weak conclusion can make an otherwise strong speech feel unfinished, while a powerful ending leaves a lasting impact. The closing should reinforce the core message, leaving the audience with something to think about or act upon. Some of the most effective conclusions circle back to the introduction, creating a sense of full circle completion. Others end with a call to action, urging the audience to take what they have heard and apply it in some way. A strong ending lingers in the audience's mind, ensuring the speech is remembered long after it is over. Crafting a powerful speech requires more than just good content. It requires intentionality in how that content is structured and delivered. The best speeches feel effortless, but they are the result of careful planning, strategic storytelling, and a deep understanding of flow. Every element, from the opening to the conclusion, plays a role in shaping how the audience experiences the message. The goal is not just to speak, but to create an experience that resonates, inspires, and stays with the audience. A well-crafted speech has the power to inform, persuade, and transform, and that is what makes it truly powerful. The art of persuasion, engaging and influencing your audience. Persuasion is at the heart of powerful public speaking. Whether trying to inspire change, sell an idea, or motivate an audience to take action, the ability to influence others with words is an essential skill. A persuasive speaker is not someone who forces their viewpoint onto others, but someone who presents their ideas in a way that resonates deeply, compelling people to listen, consider, and ultimately agree. True persuasion is not about manipulation. It is about connection, trust, and the ability to frame ideas in a way that aligns with the values and emotions of the audience. The key to persuasion lies in understanding the audience. People are not convinced by facts and logic alone. They are moved by emotion, by a sense of shared purpose, and by arguments that feel relevant to their own experiences. Before attempting to persuade, a speaker must know who they are speaking to and what matters most to them. What are their concerns? What challenges do they face? What values shape their decisions? A message that speaks directly to an audience's beliefs and needs will always be more compelling than one that feels generic or detached. Credibility plays a vital role in persuasion. Audiences are more likely to be influenced by speakers they trust. This trust can come from expertise, experience, or authenticity. A speaker who demonstrates deep knowledge of their subject gains credibility through authority. Someone who shares personal stories and real-life experiences gains credibility through relatability. Authenticity matters just as much as expertise. People can sense when a speaker is genuine versus when they are simply delivering rehearsed lines. Persuasion is strongest when the speaker comes across as sincere, passionate, and truly invested in what they are saying. Emotion is one of the most powerful tools in persuasion. While logic appeals to reason, emotion drives action. People often make decisions based on feelings rather than pure facts, and a persuasive speaker understands how to tap into those emotions effectively. A great speech stirs something within the audience. It might spark excitement, ignite outrage, inspire hope, or create a deep sense of urgency. Stories are particularly effective at evoking emotion. A personal anecdote about overcoming adversity, a vivid example of someone affected by the issue at hand, or a compelling vision of a better future can all engage emotions in ways that statistics and data alone cannot. At the same time, logical reasoning reinforces persuasion. A strong argument is built not just on emotional appeal, but also on sound reasoning. The most persuasive speakers strike a balance between logic and emotion, using both to strengthen their message. A well-structured argument follows a clear line of reasoning, making it easy for the audience to follow and accept. This is where evidence, examples, and expert opinions come into play. If a speaker is advocating for change, they must provide compelling reasons why that change is necessary. If they are trying to persuade an audience to adopt a certain viewpoint, they must present clear, well-supported arguments that make that viewpoint seem not only desirable but inevitable. Language choice is another powerful aspect of persuasion. The words a speaker uses can either draw people in or push them away. Persuasive language is clear, vivid, and impactful. Abstract ideas become more persuasive when they are made tangible, when they are explained through relatable examples, metaphors, and analogies. A strong speaker avoids overly complex language that may confuse or alienate the audience. Instead, they use words that resonate, that create mental images, and that make concepts feel real and urgent. The most persuasive speakers use language that is not only understood, but felt. Confidence in delivery is essential to persuasion. Even the most well-crafted argument will fail to persuade if it is delivered with hesitation or uncertainty. People are more likely to believe in a message if the speaker appears confident in what they are saying. Confidence does not mean arrogance. It means speaking with conviction, maintaining strong body language, and using a tone that conveys authority. A speaker who seems unsure of their own message will struggle to convince others. Eye contact, clear pronunciation, and purposeful gestures all reinforce a speaker's confidence and credibility. Engagement with the audience is another vital component of persuasion. A speaker who talks at their audience rather than with them creates distance. True persuasion happens through connection, and that requires engagement. Asking rhetorical questions, involving the audience through interaction, and responding to their reactions in real time all help create a more dynamic and persuasive speech. A speaker who actively listens and acknowledges the audience's concerns shows that they are not just pushing an agenda, but are genuinely invested in meaningful dialogue. This back-and-forth interaction makes the audience feel involved and more open to being persuaded. Persuasive speeches often include a clear call to action. A speech can be engaging and well-argued, But without a strong conclusion that tells the audience what to do next, its impact can fade quickly. A great persuasive speaker does not just inform or inspire, they motivate. They leave the audience with a clear and compelling reason to take action, whether that action is changing a belief, supporting a cause, or making a decision. A weak call to action can make even the most persuasive speech feel incomplete, while a strong one leaves a lasting impression and drives results. The ability to adapt is another mark of a persuasive speaker. Not every audience will respond the same way, and sometimes a speaker must adjust their approach in real time. If an audience seems skeptical, more logical reasoning may be needed. If they seem disengaged, more emotional appeal or storytelling may help regain their attention. Reading the room, sensing the audience's energy, and making small adjustments based on their reactions can make the difference between a speech that falls flat and one that leaves a lasting impact. The art of persuasion is ultimately about influence, not force. People do not like to feel pressured or manipulated, and a speaker who tries too hard to push an agenda can create resistance instead of agreement. The most persuasive speakers guide their audience rather than pushing them. They present ideas in a way that allows the audience to come to their own conclusions, making them feel like they have arrived at the decision themselves. This kind of persuasion is the most effective because it does not just change minds temporarily, it creates lasting conviction. A persuasive speech is not just about changing what people think. It is about moving them to act, to feel, and to see the world in a new way. It is a skill that can be used in any aspect of life, from business presentations to political speeches, from personal conversations to social activism. The principles of persuasion apply everywhere, and those who master them have the power to inspire, to lead, and to bring about real change. A truly persuasive speaker leaves their audience not just convinced but transformed, carrying the message with them long after the speech is over. Body language and nonverbal cues. Mastering gestures, posture, and eye contact. Public speaking is not just about words. While the content of a speech is important, the way it is delivered can be just as influential, sometimes even more so. People do not only listen with their ears, they absorb meaning through what they see. Body language, facial expressions, gestures, and eye contact all play a crucial role in how a message is received. A speaker's nonverbal communication can either reinforce their words, making them more compelling and persuasive, or undermine them, causing doubt and disconnection. Mastering these subtle but powerful cues is essential for anyone who wants to become an effective and confident public speaker. Posture is one of the first things an audience notices. A speaker who stands tall with an open, relaxed stance exudes confidence and authority, while someone who slouches or shifts nervously appears unsure or uncomfortable. Good posture is about more than just looking poised. It affects the way a speaker feels. Standing upright with shoulders back and feet firmly planted creates a sense of stability and control. It helps a speaker feel grounded, reducing anxiety and allowing them to project their voice more effectively. When posture is strong, the audience instinctively perceives the speaker as more credible and trustworthy. Gestures add emphasis and energy to speech. A well-timed hand movement can make a point more memorable, while a lack of gestures can make a speaker seem stiff or disengaged. Natural, expressive gestures help bring a speech to life, making it more dynamic and engaging. However, gestures should always feel purposeful rather than excessive or random. Repetitive or fidgety hand movements can be distracting and take attention away from the message. The key is balance, using gestures to highlight key points without overwhelming the audience. Open hand movements, for example, create a sense of inclusivity and honesty, whereas pointing too much or crossing the arms can come across as aggressive or defensive. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools a speaker has. It creates a direct connection with the audience, making them feel engaged and valued. A speaker who avoids eye contact can seem unprepared or untrustworthy, while one who maintains steady, natural eye contact commands attention and respect. Effective eye contact involves scanning the room rather than staring at a single point, or looking at notes too frequently. The goal is to make each person in the audience feel like they are part of a conversation rather than just passive listeners. By shifting eye contact smoothly from one person to another, a speaker creates a sense of inclusivity and personal connection, even in a large audience. Yanas. Facial expressions play a crucial role in reinforcing emotion and meaning. A speaker's face should reflect the tone of their words, smiling when speaking about something positive, showing concern when discussing a serious topic, and conveying enthusiasm when making a compelling point. A monotone expression can make even the most interesting speech feel dull, while a speaker whose face mirrors their emotions makes their words more convincing. However, exaggeration can feel unnatural or forced. The most effective speakers express emotions authentically, using their face to enhance rather than overshadow their message. Movement on stage can also influence audience perception. Some speakers stand still the entire time, while others pace nervously. Neither extreme is ideal. Purposeful movement, such as walking across the stage to emphasize a transition in the speech or stepping forward to make a strong point, can add energy and draw the audience in. However, aimless movement or constant shifting can become distracting. The goal is to use movement intentionally, making the space part of the storytelling process rather than an obstacle. Yini. Proximity and spatial awareness affect how a message is received. In a smaller setting, moving closer to the audience can create a more intimate and engaging experience. In a larger venue, a speaker may need to use broader gestures and a commanding presence to reach everyone effectively. Understanding the space and how to use it strategically allows a speaker to maintain a sense of connection regardless of the size of the audience. Pauses and silence are another nonverbal cue that can enhance a speech. Many speakers feel the urge to fill every moment with sound, fearing that silence signals hesitation. However, a well-placed pause can be incredibly powerful. It allows the audience to absorb key points, builds anticipation, and creates a natural rhythm in the speech. Pausing before delivering an important statement adds weight to the words, making them more impactful. Silence, when used with confidence, commands attention rather than signaling uncertainty. The way a speaker breathes also affects their presence and delivery. Shallow, rapid breathing can indicate nervousness and make a speech feel rushed. While controlled, deep breathing promotes a steady pace and a more relaxed demeanor. Learning to regulate breathing through diaphragmatic techniques can help a speaker maintain composure, project their voice more effectively, and reduce anxiety. Clothing and appearance may seem like minor details, but they contribute to the overall impression a speaker makes. While content and delivery are the most important aspects of public speaking, an audience's first judgment often comes from visual cues. Dressing appropriately for the occasion, maintaining good grooming, and presenting oneself in a way that aligns with the speech's purpose can enhance credibility and confidence. The way a person presents themselves sends a message before they even begin to speak. Cultural differences in body language are also important to consider. In some cultures, direct eye contact is seen as a sign of confidence and honesty, while in others, it may be perceived as aggressive or disrespectful. Gestures that are positive in one country may have completely different meanings in another. Understanding the audience's background and being mindful of cultural differences can prevent misinterpretations and ensure that nonverbal communication supports rather than hinders the message. The most effective speakers are those who align their words with their body language. When verbal and nonverbal communication work together, the message is more convincing and authentic. If a speaker's words express excitement but their body remains stiff and disengaged, the audience senses a disconnect. Similarly, if someone claims confidence but their posture and eye contact suggest insecurity, their credibility suffers. The best speakers are aware of how their physical presence enhances or detracts from their speech, using every nonverbal cue to reinforce their message. Mastering body language and nonverbal cues takes practice, but it is an essential skill for anyone looking to improve their public speaking. It is not about adopting artificial gestures or forcing expressions, but about developing self-awareness and refining natural communication skills. Becoming mindful of posture, gestures, eye contact, facial expressions, and movement helps a speaker engage their audience more effectively and deliver a message with confidence and clarity. 8. Ultimately, communication is about connection. Words alone are not enough. How those words are delivered shapes how they are received. A speaker who understands and controls their body language has the ability to captivate, persuade, and inspire. When spoken words and nonverbal communication work in harmony, the impact is powerful and lasting. The power of your voice. Tone, pacing, and projection. The voice is an incredible instrument. It has the power to inspire, to move people to action, and to hold the attention of an audience from beginning to end. A great speech is not just about the words that are spoken, but about how those words are delivered. Tone, pacing, and projection are the tools that shape the experience of listening, turning a simple message into something captivating, persuasive, and unforgettable. Mastering the use of the voice is one of the most important skills any speaker can develop. Tone is what gives a voice character and depth. It conveys emotion and intention, shaping how an audience feels about what is being said. A monotone voice drains energy from even the most powerful words, making them flat and lifeless. Variation in tone, on the other hand, brings a speech to life, making it engaging and dynamic. The right tone can make a message sound passionate, urgent, thoughtful, or reassuring. It can build excitement or create a moment of deep reflection. A speaker who understands how to use tone effectively can take an audience on an emotional journey, making them feel every word rather than just hearing it. Tone also influences credibility. A voice that is too harsh can come across as aggressive or confrontational, while a voice that is too soft or hesitant may seem unsure or lacking in confidence. The way something is said often matters more than the actual content of the speech. A strong, steady, and well-controlled tone suggests authority and competence, making people more likely to trust and believe in the speaker's message. At the same time, warmth and sincerity in tone create connection and relatability. The best speakers know when to be firm and when to be gentle, when to be commanding and when to be inviting. This ability to shift tone according to the needs of the moment is what makes a voice truly powerful. Pacing is another crucial element of effective speech delivery. Speaking too quickly can make it difficult for an audience to absorb information, while speaking too slowly can cause them to lose interest. A well-paced speech feels natural and intentional, allowing the audience to follow along comfortably. Speeding up can create excitement and urgency, while slowing down can add emphasis and give people time to reflect on an important point. The best speakers use pacing strategically, adjusting it throughout their speech to maintain engagement and reinforce key messages. A rushed delivery can signal nervousness and make a speaker seem anxious or unprepared. It can also overwhelm listeners, making it hard for them to process what is being said. On the other hand, a speech that drags can feel tedious, causing the audience's attention to wander. The key is to find a rhythm that feels both energetic and controlled, keeping the audience engaged while ensuring they can fully absorb the message. Natural pauses are an important part of this rhythm. They give weight to words, create anticipation, and allow the speaker to breathe and reset. A pause before delivering a critical statement can make it more powerful, while a pause after a joke or a thought-provoking idea gives the audience time to react. Projection is what allows a speaker to be heard clearly and command attention. A voice that is too quiet loses impact, while a voice that is too loud can feel overbearing. The right level of projection depends on the setting, the size of the audience, and the acoustics of the space. A speaker addressing a large crowd without a microphone needs to project their voice forcefully to reach the entire room, while someone speaking in a more intimate setting can use a softer, more conversational tone. Regardless of the environment, the goal is always to be heard without straining. Proper breath control plays a major role in effective projection. Shallow breathing results in a weak voice, while deep, controlled breathing from the diaphragm allows a speaker to project with power and confidence. A well-projected voice carries authority. It fills the space and demands attention, signaling that the speaker is in control. But projection is not just about volume. It is also about clarity. Articulation and enunciation ensure that every word is understood. Slurring words, mumbling, or speaking too fast can make it difficult for an audience to follow along. Clear pronunciation allows a message to be absorbed effortlessly. The emotional quality of the voice is equally important. A flat, robotic delivery disconnects the audience, while a voice rich with feeling draws them in. Enthusiasm, passion, conviction. These are all things that can be heard as well as seen. A speaker who truly believes in their message lets that belief shine through in their voice. It is not just about saying the right words. It is about making those words feel real, urgent, and meaningful. A speaker who speaks with genuine passion is far more compelling than one who simply recites prepared lines. The relationship between voice and body language should not be overlooked. A speaker who uses expressive gestures, maintains strong posture, and engages with their audience physically reinforces the power of their voice. On the other hand, someone who speaks well but stands stiffly or avoids eye contact may still struggle to connect. The most impactful speakers align their vocal delivery with their physical presence, creating a fully immersive experience for their audience. Different voices have different natural qualities. Some voices are deep and commanding, others are light and melodic. Rather than trying to change their voice, a speaker should focus on using it to its fullest potential. This means understanding its strengths and weaknesses, refining clarity, and embracing natural variations in pitch and resonance. Everyone has a unique vocal signature, and learning to harness it effectively can make any speech more compelling. One of the most effective ways to develop vocal power is through practice and self-awareness. Recording and listening to one's own speech can reveal areas for improvement. Are certain words being rushed? Is the tone too flat in places where it should be more expressive? Does the voice sound natural and engaging, or does it lack energy? By analyzing these elements and making adjustments, a speaker can refine their delivery and make their voice a more effective tool. The voice is a speaker's most powerful asset. It has the ability to inspire, to persuade, to command attention, and to leave a lasting impression. Mastering tone, pacing, and projection transforms an ordinary speech into something extraordinary. When used effectively, the voice becomes more than just a medium for words. It becomes an instrument of influence, emotion, and connection. Every great speaker understands that it is not just what they say, but how they say it that makes all the difference. Handling Quanda sessions with confidence, thinking on your feet. For many speakers, the Quanda session can be the most nerve-wracking part of any presentation. While a well-prepared speech allows for careful planning and rehearsal, a live Quanda requires a speaker to think on their feet, respond to unexpected questions, and engage in real-time discussion. It is a moment of vulnerability, where anything can happen, and the direction of the conversation is no longer entirely within the speaker's control. However, rather than being something to fear, a Quanda session should be seen as an opportunity, a chance to reinforce key points, clarify misunderstandings, and build a stronger connection with the audience. The ability to handle questions with confidence is a skill that every speaker should master. Confidence in a Quanda session starts with preparation. While it is impossible to predict every question that will be asked, anticipating likely inquiries can go a long way in reducing anxiety. A speaker who has a deep understanding of their topic will naturally feel more at ease when responding to audience questions. Reviewing the main points of a presentation and thinking about potential areas of confusion or curiosity allows a speaker to prepare thoughtful answers in advance. However, preparation alone is not enough. True confidence comes from being comfortable with the unknown, ready to adapt to whatever direction the conversation takes. The way a speaker handles the first question often sets the tone for the entire session. A calm, collected response reassures the audience that the speaker is knowledgeable and in control. Even if the question is challenging, controversial, or unexpected, maintaining composure is key. Taking a brief pause before answering allows a speaker to gather their thoughts and formulate a clear, concise response. Rushing into an answer out of nervousness can lead to rambling, unclear explanations or unintended misstatements. A measured approach ensures that responses are thoughtful and authoritative. As active listening is a crucial skill in a Quanda session. It is not just about waiting for the question to end so that a response can be given. It is about fully understanding what is being asked. Sometimes, a question may be vague, multi-layered, or even poorly worded. In such cases, repeating or rephrasing the question can be helpful, both for clarity and to buy a little extra time to think. A speaker might say, "If I understand correctly, you're asking about," before delivering their response. This approach ensures that the question is properly addressed and shows the audience that the speaker is genuinely engaged. Note: there will inevitably be difficult questions. Some may be pointed or critical, while others might challenge the speaker's perspective or expertise. Instead of becoming defensive, a confident speaker remains composed and responds with poise. Acknowledging a challenging question with respect, rather than reacting negatively, builds credibility. Phrases such as, "That's a great question," or "I appreciate your perspective," can help create a constructive dialogue rather than an adversarial exchange. If a speaker does not have an immediate answer, honesty is always better than guessing. Admitting, "That's an interesting point. I'd like to look into that further before giving a definitive answer," demonstrates integrity and a commitment to accuracy. Handling audience interruptions or confrontational questions requires tact and professionalism. Sometimes, an audience member may attempt to dominate the Quanda session, make long-winded statements instead of asking questions, or challenge the speaker aggressively. In such situations, maintaining control of the room is essential. A speaker can politely redirect the conversation by saying, "I'd love to address that, but let's make sure we also have time for other questions." Keeping a respectful but firm stance helps prevent the session from being derailed. The ability to simplify complex information is another valuable skill during Quanda sessions. Some questions may require detailed explanations, but long-winded or overly technical answers can lose the audience's interest. A confident speaker knows how to break down complicated concepts into clear, digestible responses. Using analogies, examples, or real-world applications can help make answers more relatable and engaging. The goal is not just to provide an answer, but to ensure that the audience understands and benefits from it. Nonverbal communication plays an important role in how answers are received. A speaker's posture, eye contact, and facial expressions can reinforce their confidence or betray their nervousness. Standing or sitting upright, maintaining steady eye contact with the person asking the question, and using open, engaged body language all contribute to a stronger presence. Nervous habits such as fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, or crossing arms can make a speaker appear uncertain or defensive. A controlled, assured demeanor helps establish credibility and keeps the audience engaged. Audience members appreciate authenticity, and a speaker who is genuine in their responses is far more effective than one who tries too hard to sound authoritative. A natural conversational tone makes answers feel more engaging and approachable. Overly rehearsed or robotic responses can create distance between the speaker and the audience. Being real, adding a touch of humor when appropriate, and admitting when a question is thought-provoking all contribute to a more meaningful interaction. Time management is another factor to consider in a Quanda session. Some questions may require longer, more detailed answers, while others can be addressed quickly. A speaker should be mindful of the overall time available and ensure that multiple audience members have the chance to participate. If a single question is taking up too much time, a speaker can summarize their response and offer to continue the discussion after the session. Balancing depth and efficiency ensures that the Quanda remains dynamic and inclusive. When wrapping up a Quanda session, it is important to end on a strong note. Rather than letting the final question dictate the conclusion, a speaker can take a moment to reinforce a key message, offer a closing thought, or express gratitude to the audience. A simple statement such as, "I appreciate all the great questions today. Thank you for your engagement," leaves the audience with a positive impression. If appropriate, providing a way for audience members to follow up, such as an email or social media contact, can encourage further discussion and connection. Bisa. Confidence in handling Quanda sessions does not come overnight. It is built through experience, practice, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. Each session is a learning opportunity, helping a speaker refine their ability to respond under pressure, engage with different perspectives, and strengthen their overall communication skills. Over time, what once seemed intimidating becomes an exciting and rewarding part of public speaking. A well-handled Quanda can elevate a presentation, turning a one-way speech into a dynamic conversation. It is in these unscripted moments that a speaker's true expertise, authenticity, and ability to think on their feet are revealed. Using visual aids, effectively slides, props, and demonstrations. Visual aids have the power to enhance a presentation, making complex ideas easier to understand, engaging the audience on a deeper level, and reinforcing key messages. A well-placed image, a compelling chart, or a live demonstration can bring a speech to life in ways that words alone cannot. However, when used poorly, visual aids can just as easily detract from a presentation, becoming a distraction rather than a tool for clarity. Mastering the art of using slides, props, and demonstrations effectively requires a careful balance between visual elements and spoken content, ensuring that each component supports rather than competes with the speaker's message. Slides are one of the most commonly used visual aids in public speaking, particularly in business, academic, and professional settings. They provide a structured way to present information, giving audiences a visual reference that reinforces what is being said. However, too often, slides are misused, overloaded with text, crowded with unnecessary details, or designed in ways that make them difficult to read. The most effective slides are simple, clear, and visually appealing. They highlight key points rather than repeating them word for word, allowing the speaker to maintain engagement while guiding the audience's attention. Large, easy-to-read fonts, high-quality images, and a clean layout help ensure that slides serve as an enhancement rather than a distraction. One of the biggest mistakes speakers make with slides is turning them into a script. When a speaker simply reads from the slides, the presentation loses energy and interaction. The audience does not need to see a wall of text when they could be listening to an engaging speaker. Instead, slides should serve as prompts, reminders of the main ideas rather than full explanations. Bullet points should be minimal, and the content should be concise. If a slide is packed with too much information, the audience will either struggle to read it all or tune out altogether. The best slides complement the speaker's words rather than replacing them. Images and graphics are often more powerful than text when it comes to making a point stick. A well-chosen image can evoke emotion, illustrate a concept, or create a memorable impression. Charts and graphs help translate data into a more digestible form, making statistics and trends easier to grasp. However, visuals should always be relevant and carefully selected. A random image that does not connect to the message will only confuse the audience. Similarly, overly complex charts with too many data points can become overwhelming rather than helpful. Simplicity is key when choosing visual elements to support a presentation. Props add another dimension to public speaking, making a presentation more tangible and interactive. Holding a physical object related to the topic creates a direct connection between the audience and the message. Props can be used to demonstrate a concept, tell a story, or create a sense of curiosity and anticipation. A speaker discussing a new product, for example, can hold it up, show how it works, and allow the audience to see it firsthand. A historical artifact, a model, or even a simple object with symbolic meaning can add depth to a speech. However, just like slides, props should be used with intention. A prop that is too distracting, unrelated, or difficult to see from a distance can take away from the effectiveness of the message. Live demonstrations bring a unique level of engagement to a presentation. When an audience can see something happening in real time, it creates a sense of immediacy and impact. Demonstrations are especially useful for explaining processes, showcasing products, or illustrating scientific concepts. A speaker explaining a technical process, for example, might show a live example rather than just describing it. A cooking demonstration, an experiment, or a performance can all serve to make a presentation more dynamic. However, live demonstrations come with risks. Technical difficulties, unexpected mishaps, or an unprepared speaker can turn a great idea into an awkward moment. It is always important to practice a demonstration multiple times before presenting it live and to have a backup plan in case something goes wrong. The way visual aids are presented matters just as much as the content itself. A speaker should maintain control over their visual elements, using them at the right moments rather than letting them dominate the presentation. Timing is essential. Introducing a slide too early or holding up a prop too soon can distract from the current point. The audience should always be guided smoothly from one visual element to the next without losing the flow of the speech. A seamless integration of visuals with spoken content ensures that they work together rather than competing for attention. B. Body language also plays a role in how visual aids are received. A speaker should never turn their back on the audience to read from a screen or spend too much time looking at their slides instead of engaging with the crowd. Eye contact and movement should be used to draw attention to the visuals when necessary, but not at the expense of maintaining a connection with the audience. If using a remote clicker to advance slides, a speaker should do so naturally, without breaking their rhythm. Smooth transitions between visuals and speech create a polished and professional impression. Technology can be a great ally when it comes to visual aids, but it can also be a source of trouble if not handled properly. Projectors, microphones, screens, and other equipment should always be tested before a presentation. A speaker should be familiar with how to navigate their slides, adjust volume levels, and handle any technical issues that may arise. Having a backup plan, such as printed notes or a second device, can prevent a presentation from falling apart in case of a technical failure. It is also important to avoid overloading a presentation with too many digital effects, animations, or transitions. While they may seem impressive, excessive animations can be distracting and make a presentation feel cluttered rather than engaging. Audience engagement should always be the priority when using visual aids. If a slide, prop, or demonstration does not add value to the message, it is better left out. The best speakers understand that visuals should support the narrative, not replace it. The focus should remain on delivering a strong, compelling message, with visual elements enhancing that message, rather than overshadowing it. When used effectively, visual aids transform a presentation into a more immersive and memorable experience. They capture attention, reinforce key points, and create a richer understanding of the topic at hand. A speaker who masters the use of slides, props, and demonstrations gains a powerful advantage in public speaking. By striking the right balance between spoken words and visual elements, they can elevate their delivery, captivate their audience, and leave a lasting impact. Whether in a business meeting, a conference, a classroom, or a stage performance, the ability to use visual aids effectively is a skill that sets great speakers apart from the rest. Practicing like a pro rehearsal techniques for success. Public speaking is not just about what you say, but how you say it. And the way to ensure a confident, compelling delivery is through practice. Many beginner speakers assume that simply knowing their content is enough to carry them through a presentation. But true mastery comes from rehearsing in a way that builds muscle memory, refines delivery, and prepares for any possible challenges. Practicing like a pro means going beyond reading notes silently or casually running through a speech in your head. It involves strategic, intentional rehearsal techniques that mimic real speaking conditions, helping a speaker internalize their message, control nerves, and deliver with authenticity and confidence. The first step in effective practice is setting the right mindset. Many people see rehearsing as an obligation rather than an opportunity for improvement. Approaching practice with the same level of seriousness as the actual presentation changes everything. Instead of thinking, "I have to practice," a speaker should think, "I get to refine and perfect my message." This shift in perspective creates an environment where practice becomes an active, engaged process rather than a passive routine. Each rehearsal is a chance to smooth out rough edges, experiment with tone and pacing, and gain greater control over the material. Repetition is one of the most powerful tools in the rehearsal process. The more a speaker goes over their speech, the more comfortable they become with the material. However, not all repetition is equal. Simply reading a speech over and over in the same way can lead to stagnation rather than improvement. A great practice technique is to rehearse in different ways, sometimes standing, sometimes sitting, sometimes in front of a mirror, sometimes recording oneself. Changing the way a speech is practiced prevents it from feeling stale and forces the speaker to stay engaged with the content. It also helps ensure that the speech does not sound robotic or overly rehearsed when delivered in front of an audience. Speaking aloud is a crucial part of practice that many people overlook. Reading silently is not enough, because the way words sound in our heads is often very different from how they come out. Speaking out loud helps identify awkward phrasing, unnatural transitions, or sentences that feel too long or too short. It also helps a speaker find their natural rhythm and determine where to pause for emphasis. Vocalizing the speech multiple times allows the speaker to fine-tune their delivery and become comfortable with the sound of their own voice. Practicing in front of an audience before the actual presentation is another powerful technique. This could be a small group of friends, family members, or colleagues who can provide constructive feedback. Performing in front of others helps simulate the pressure of a real audience and allows a speaker to gauge reactions, refine timing, and adjust their energy level accordingly. Even practicing in front of a mirror or recording a video can be valuable, as it provides insight into body language, facial expressions, and overall presence. Watching a recording of oneself might feel uncomfortable at first, but it is one of the most effective ways to identify strengths and areas for improvement. Memorization can be a tricky subject when it comes to rehearsing. While knowing a speech inside and out is important, rigid memorization can sometimes work against a speaker. If a speech is memorized word for word without any flexibility, it becomes difficult to adapt if something goes wrong. A forgotten word or a minor distraction can throw the entire delivery off balance. Instead of memorizing every single word, it is often better to memorize key points, transitions, and main ideas while allowing for some natural variation in phrasing. This keeps the speech fresh, conversational, and adaptable while ensuring that the core message remains intact. Timing is another critical aspect of practice. A speaker should always be aware of the time constraints of their presentation and rehearse accordingly. Running through the speech with a timer ensures that it does not go over or under the allotted time. It also helps with pacing. Many speakers tend to speed up when they are nervous, so timing practice can reveal whether adjustments need to be made to slow down and emphasize key points. If a speech is too long, practicing helps determine where cuts can be made without losing impact. If it is too short, practice can highlight areas that could benefit from additional elaboration or storytelling. Dealing with distractions is an important part of high-level rehearsal. The reality of live speaking is that there will always be potential interruptions. People coughing, phones ringing, unexpected noises, or technical difficulties. A pro-level speaker prepares for these moments by practicing in imperfect conditions, rehearsing in a noisy environment, purposefully creating small distractions, or even having someone ask an unexpected question mid-speech can train a speaker to stay focused and composed no matter what happens. The more unpredictable elements a speaker has practiced handling, the less likely they are to be thrown off by real-world disruptions. Practicing with movement is just as important as rehearsing the words. A speaker's body language, gestures, and posture all contribute to the effectiveness of delivery. Practicing in a way that integrates movement, whether it is walking across a stage, using hand gestures, or maintaining purposeful eye contact, ensures that physical presence enhances, rather than detracts, from the message. Moving with intention, rather than pacing nervously or fidgeting, creates a strong stage presence. Practicing in a full-body way, rather than just focusing on the voice, allows for a more complete and polished performance. Energy levels can make or break a speech, and practice is where a speaker finds the right balance. Too little energy can make a speech feel dull, while too much can make it feel forced or unnatural. Practicing at different energy levels, sometimes exaggeratedly high, sometimes deliberately low, helps a speaker find the right middle ground that feels engaging yet authentic. A good practice method is to rehearse as if speaking to a small group, then as if speaking to a large audience, adjusting volume, gestures, and tone accordingly. Winners. The mental aspect of practice is just as crucial as the physical preparation. Visualization techniques can be a powerful rehearsal tool, helping a speaker mentally walk through their speech even when they are not physically practicing. Imagining standing on stage, seeing the audience, and hearing the words flow smoothly can create a sense of familiarity and confidence. Many top performers in various fields use visualization to prepare for success, and public speaking is no different. The mind can be trained to associate speaking with calmness and control rather than anxiety and fear. As the final stages of rehearsal approach, refining the details becomes the focus. This is the time to smooth out any awkward transitions, ensure that key points are delivered with impact, and adjust pacing and emphasis as needed. Rehearsing with intentional pauses, varying vocal inflection, and making sure that the strongest points land effectively can elevate a speech from good to great. The last few run-throughs should feel natural and fluid, with the speaker focusing more on delivery than on remembering content. Then, by the time a speaker steps onto the stage or into the meeting room, they should feel fully prepared, not because they memorized every word, but because they rehearsed in a way that made the material second nature. They have practiced in different environments, tested their ability to handle distractions, fine-tuned their pacing and movement, and mentally rehearsed success. At this point, speaking feels less like a performance and more like a conversation. The nerves may still be there, but they are no longer a hindrance. They are simply energy to be channeled into a dynamic and engaging delivery. Practicing like a pro means treating rehearsal as an essential part of public speaking, not an afterthought. It means pushing past comfort zones, refining delivery, and preparing for real-world conditions so that when the moment arrives, the speaker is ready. Every great speaker, from business leaders to performers, understands that excellence comes from preparation. Mastering rehearsal techniques ensures that when it is time to speak, the words flow naturally, the presence feels strong, and the audience is fully engaged. Dealing with unexpected situations. Managing tech failures, hecklers, and nerves. No matter how much preparation goes into a speech, unexpected situations can arise at any moment. A perfectly rehearsed presentation can suddenly be derailed by a microphone cutting out, a disruptive audience member, or an overwhelming wave of nerves. The true test of a speaker is not how well they perform when everything goes smoothly, but how they handle challenges when things go wrong. The ability to remain composed, adapt quickly, and regain control of the room is what separates an average speaker from a great one. While these moments can be stressful, they also provide an opportunity to demonstrate confidence, professionalism, and resilience. Technology is one of the most unpredictable elements of public speaking. Microphones fail, projectors malfunction, slides refuse to load, and videos freeze at the worst possible moments. Even the most high-profile speakers face technical difficulties, and the way they respond makes all the difference. The key is to remain calm and avoid letting frustration show. Panic or visible irritation only makes the audience uncomfortable. A confident speaker acknowledges the issue with a sense of ease, perhaps even humor, and smoothly moves forward. If a microphone stops working, raising the voice and projecting can carry the speech forward until a solution is found. If slides refuse to appear, shifting to a verbal explanation and engaging the audience directly can keep momentum going. A speaker should always be prepared to present without any visuals, ensuring that the message still comes across powerfully, even if every piece of technology fails. One of the best ways to handle tech failures is to rehearse without technology during practice sessions. Relying too heavily on slides or videos can create a crutch, making it difficult to continue without them. A speaker who knows their material inside and out will not be dependent on a screen to guide them. Having a printed version of key points or a well-memorized structure ensures that even if the worst happens, the presentation can still be delivered effectively. A good speaker is always ready to adjust on the fly, filling in gaps with natural storytelling, audience engagement, or an improvised transition while the issue is being resolved. Another unexpected challenge that can arise during a speech is dealing with hecklers or disruptive audience members. While most audiences are polite and attentive, there may be situations where someone interrupts, challenges the speaker aggressively, or tries to throw the presentation off course. The instinctive reaction might be irritation or defensiveness, but handling these moments with professionalism and poise is crucial. The best approach depends on the nature of the interruption. If someone is simply making a comment out of turn, acknowledging their input and moving on quickly can prevent them from taking control of the room. If the person is persistently disruptive, a firm but calm response is necessary. I'd be happy to discuss this after the presentation, or let's stay on track and save questions for the Kwanda, can redirect the energy without escalating the situation. Hecklers looking to provoke a reaction can be especially challenging. Engaging in a verbal battle or losing composure gives them exactly what they want: control over the atmosphere of the room. Instead, responding with humor or a composed remark diffuses tension and keeps the audience on the speaker's side. A confident smile and a quick, lighthearted response can disarm most hecklers. If the situation becomes truly disruptive, it is important to remember that the speaker is in control. Security or event organizers can handle extreme cases, but most disruptions can be handled with a combination of confidence, calmness, and redirection. Beyond external challenges, one of the biggest unexpected situations a speaker can face comes from within: nerves. Even the most seasoned speakers experience anxiety before stepping onto a stage. The rush of adrenaline, the pounding heart, the dry mouth. These are natural physical reactions to performance pressure. The difference between an unprepared speaker and a confident one is how they manage those nerves. Accepting that nervousness is part of the process rather than trying to eliminate it entirely is the first step. The goal is not to be completely free of anxiety, but to channel that energy into a dynamic and engaging delivery. Indeed, one of the most effective ways to manage nerves is through controlled breathing. Taking slow, deep breaths before stepping on stage helps regulate the nervous system, slowing down the racing heart and reducing the feeling of panic. Focusing on exhaling fully, rather than just inhaling deeply, creates a calming effect and stabilizes the voice. Another technique is to ground oneself physically, standing firmly, planting both feet on the ground and avoiding fidgeting or shifting nervously. A steady posture communicates confidence not only to the audience but also to the speaker's own mind. Preparation plays a major role in overcoming nervousness. The more familiar a speaker is with their material, the less they have to worry about forgetting what to say. Running through the speech multiple times, especially under conditions that mimic the actual presentation environment, builds confidence. Practicing in front of friends or even recording oneself can help identify areas that need improvement while making the process of speaking feel more natural. Visualization techniques, where a speaker imagines delivering the speech successfully, also help create a sense of familiarity and confidence before stepping on stage. In moments of extreme anxiety where the mind goes blank or words suddenly seem unreachable, the key is to pause rather than panic. Taking a brief moment to breathe, gathering thoughts, and continuing naturally is far better than scrambling to fill the silence with nervous words. Most audiences will not even notice a small pause unless the speaker draws attention to it. A simple trick is to have a fallback phrase ready, something that can be said to regain momentum while recollecting the next point. Let's take a moment to think about that. Or, this brings me to an important idea, can serve as smooth transitions back into the flow of the speech. Then, unexpected situations are inevitable, but they do not have to derail a presentation. The best speakers are those who embrace the unpredictability of live speaking and turn challenges into moments of authenticity and control. A microphone failure can become an opportunity to engage the audience more directly. A heckler can be a moment to showcase composure and wit. Nervous energy can transform into a powerful, passionate delivery. Every speaker, no matter how experienced, will encounter difficulties at some point. What matters is not avoiding challenges, but learning how to navigate them with grace, confidence, and a mindset that sees obstacles as opportunities for growth. The reality of public speaking is that no two speeches will ever be exactly the same. Even with the best preparation, every live audience, every venue, and every moment brings its own unique elements. Embracing this uncertainty, rather than fearing it, allows speakers to step into any room with confidence. The ability to think on one's feet, adjust to changing circumstances, and stay composed in the face of the unexpected is what makes a speaker truly great. Whether it's handling a sudden technical failure, facing an aggressive audience member, or calming internal nerves, the speaker who remains in control will always leave a lasting impression. Yet, the more a speaker faces and overcomes these challenges, the stronger and more adaptable they become. Instead of dreading what might go wrong, they begin to see every speech as an opportunity to refine their ability to handle anything. Over time, confidence grows not because things always go perfectly, but because experience has proven that even when they don't, the speaker can handle it. In the end, dealing with unexpected situations is not just a skill, it is an essential part of mastering the art of public speaking. Public speaking in different settings. Meetings, events, virtual talks, and more. Public speaking is not confined to a single stage or format. It takes many shapes, from a formal keynote address to an impromptu team meeting, from an intimate workshop to a global webinar. Each setting presents its own challenges and requires a tailored approach. The ability to adapt one's speaking style to fit different environments is a crucial skill for any speaker, ensuring that the message remains engaging, effective, and well-received regardless of the context. Meetings are one of the most common places where public speaking skills come into play, yet they are often underestimated. Unlike a large audience setting, meetings tend to be more conversational and interactive. The key to effective speaking in meetings is clarity and conciseness. Time is limited and attention spans are short. Rambling or going off topic can cause frustration, while a well-structured, to-the-point contribution makes an impact. Confidence is crucial, even in a small gathering. Making eye contact with colleagues, speaking with a steady voice, and avoiding filler words all contribute to a professional and persuasive presence. Meetings also require active listening. Unlike a speech where the focus is solely on delivery, meetings involve discussion and response. Being able to articulate thoughts clearly while engaging with others' ideas helps create a strong and credible presence in a professional setting. Events, on the other hand, are often high-pressure situations where preparation and stage presence are key. Whether speaking at a corporate conference, an industry panel, or a community gathering, the stakes are higher, and the audience expects a well-delivered, impactful message. Preparation goes beyond just knowing the content. It involves understanding the audience, the venue, and the overall event atmosphere. Large event settings often require strong vocal projection and strategic use of body language to keep the audience engaged. Unlike meetings, where casual dialogue is common, events demand a more polished delivery. Storytelling becomes a powerful tool here, making ideas more memorable and emotionally resonant. A speaker at an event must also be prepared for variables such as stage layout, lighting, and audio equipment, all of which can impact delivery. Managing nerves, handling distractions, and maintaining composure in front of a large crowd are all part of mastering event-based public speaking, EA. Virtual talks, whether they take place over Zoom, webinars, or live-streamed events, present a unique set of challenges. Without the physical presence of an audience, energy and engagement can easily drop. Speaking to a camera instead of a room full of people requires intentional effort to maintain enthusiasm and connection. One of the biggest pitfalls in virtual speaking is monotony. Without the benefit of physical stage movement, a speaker must rely on vocal variation, facial expressions, and well-timed pauses to keep the audience interested. Technical aspects also play a major role. A strong internet connection, proper lighting, and high-quality audio are essential to ensuring a professional virtual presence. Eye contact takes a different form in this setting. Instead of looking at individual people, a speaker must learn to look directly at the camera lens to create the illusion of direct connection. Engaging a virtual audience requires more than just delivering information. It involves asking questions, encouraging participation, and using visuals effectively to keep the experience interactive. Workshops and training sessions provide yet another speaking format, one that is more hands-on and interactive. Unlike keynote speeches or formal presentations, workshops require active engagement with participants. The role of the speaker shifts from presenter to facilitator, guiding discussions, encouraging questions, and adapting to the needs of the audience in real time. Flexibility is crucial, as workshops often require on-the-spot adjustments based on how participants are responding. Being able to read the room and shift gears when necessary makes a workshop more effective and ensures that the audience remains engaged throughout. Rather than delivering information in a one-way manner, workshop-style speaking invites collaboration, making the experience more dynamic and impactful. Panel discussions and interviews are another variation of public speaking where adaptability is key. Unlike solo presentations, panels require coordination with other speakers, balancing speaking time, and responding to questions in real time. The best panelists are those who know how to contribute meaningfully without dominating the conversation. Clear, concise responses, active listening, and the ability to build on others' points all contribute to a strong panel presence. In interviews, whether for a job, media appearance, or podcast, the focus shifts to delivering well-thought-out responses that align with the topic while maintaining authenticity. Unlike rehearsed speeches, interviews require thinking on one's feet and responding naturally to unexpected questions. Public speaking in social settings such as weddings, toasts, or informal gatherings carries its own unique challenges. While these settings are often more relaxed, they still require a level of preparation and confidence. A wedding speech or toast, for example, should be heartfelt and engaging without being overly long. Humor and personal anecdotes are often appreciated, but balance is key. What may seem funny in a casual setting might not land the same way in a formal event. Speaking at social gatherings requires an understanding of the audience's expectations, ensuring that the message is appropriate for the occasion. Regardless of the setting, adaptability is the hallmark of a great speaker. The ability to assess the environment, understand the audience, and adjust delivery accordingly makes all the difference. While some settings demand a commanding stage presence, others call for a conversational, approachable tone. The common thread in all public speaking scenarios is the ability to connect with the audience. Whether in a small meeting or a large conference, in-person or virtual, formal or informal, the goal remains the same: to communicate a message effectively, engage the listeners, and leave a lasting impact. Mastering public speaking in different settings is not about memorizing a rigid formula, but developing the flexibility to navigate diverse scenarios with confidence. The more exposure a speaker has to different formats, the more comfortable they become in adjusting their approach. With each experience, the ability to read an audience, manage technical challenges, and deliver with confidence grows stronger. Every setting presents an opportunity to refine skills, build presence, and enhance the ability to communicate effectively. Public speaking is not a one-size-fits-all skill. It is an evolving art that thrives on adaptability, preparation, and the ability to engage any audience, anywhere. Building a long-term speaking career, growth, networking, and finding opportunities. Public speaking is more than just a one-time performance. For many, it is a long-term career path that requires continuous learning, strategic networking, and the ability to seize opportunities. Whether aspiring to become a professional speaker or simply wanting to use public speaking to enhance career prospects, the journey is one of persistence and evolution. A successful speaking career does not happen overnight. It is built through deliberate practice, personal branding, and the ability to connect with audiences in a meaningful way. Growth as a speaker is an ongoing process. No matter how skilled someone becomes, there is always room for improvement. Some of the greatest public speakers in history, from politicians to business leaders, have spent years refining their craft, learning from their mistakes, and adapting to changing audiences. The best speakers never stop learning. They watch other great speakers, study their techniques, and continuously assess their own performances. Recording speeches and analyzing them can reveal areas for improvement, from pacing and tone to body language and engagement. Seeking constructive feedback from peers, mentors, or audience members provides invaluable insights into how a message is received. Every speech, no matter how small, is an opportunity to grow. Beyond personal growth, building a speaking career requires visibility. It is not enough to be a great speaker if no one knows about it. Establishing a presence in the speaking world means putting oneself out there, starting with small engagements and working toward larger platforms. One of the most effective ways to gain traction is to speak as often as possible. Local events, community gatherings, industry meetups, and corporate meetings all serve as stepping stones. Volunteering to speak at nonprofit events, schools, or networking groups can help build credibility and experience. As a speaker gains confidence and refines their delivery, larger opportunities begin to open up. Networking is an essential part of the process. Public speaking is as much about relationships as it is about skill. Connecting with event organizers, fellow speakers, and industry professionals can lead to new opportunities. Attending conferences, joining professional speaker associations, and engaging in online speaking communities help establish credibility and connections. Social media also plays a crucial role in networking. A speaker who shares insights, experiences, and snippets of their speeches online can attract a wider audience and gain recognition in their field. Posting videos, writing articles, and participating in discussions on platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube can help establish thought leadership. Finding paid speaking opportunities is often the next step in turning public speaking into a career. Many speakers start by speaking for free to build their portfolio, but eventually, monetization becomes a key focus. Corporate training, keynote speaking, workshops, and seminars are common ways speakers earn income. Organizations and businesses frequently hire speakers for internal training, leadership development, and industry events. Developing a niche can be beneficial in securing paid engagements. Speakers who specialize in specific topics, whether it's leadership, motivation, communication, or business strategy, often find it easier to position themselves as experts. Marketing plays a crucial role in building a sustainable speaking career. Having a professional website with a clear speaker bio, testimonials, and a portfolio of past speaking engagements can make a huge difference in attracting opportunities. A well-crafted speaker reel, a short video showcasing speaking ability, stage presence, and audience engagement, can be a powerful tool in securing gigs. Event organizers and decision-makers often look for proof of expertise and delivery style before booking a speaker. Public speaking also opens doors to additional career opportunities beyond the stage. Many professional speakers expand their careers by writing books, offering coaching services, or developing online courses. A strong speaking career can serve as a platform for thought leadership, allowing speakers to influence their industries and communities. Workshops, consulting, and media appearances can complement public speaking, creating multiple income streams and further establishing authority. Challenges are inevitable in the journey toward a long-term speaking career. Rejection, setbacks, and difficult audiences are all part of the process. Not every speaking opportunity will go perfectly, and not every audience will be receptive. The ability to learn from challenges, refine strategies, and stay persistent separates successful speakers from those who give up too soon. Building resilience and maintaining enthusiasm for the craft ensures long-term success. Adaptability is also key in a world where public speaking formats are constantly evolving. Traditional in-person speeches remain valuable, but virtual events, webinars, and online summits have created new avenues for speakers to reach global audiences. Embracing technology, learning how to engage virtual audiences, and staying ahead of industry trends keep speakers relevant in an ever-changing landscape. The ability to navigate different platforms, from TED-style talks to podcast interviews, broadens a speaker's reach and influence. The long-term success of a speaking career ultimately depends on passion and commitment. A speaker who genuinely loves sharing ideas, inspiring others, and making an impact will always find ways to grow. Authenticity is what resonates most with audiences. People connect with speakers who are not just skilled presenters, but who speak from a place of real experience, emotion, and conviction. Over time, a speaker's unique voice and message become their signature, setting them apart in a crowded field. Public speaking is not just about mastering words. It is about making a lasting impression. Those who commit to the journey continuously improve, build meaningful connections, and seize opportunities will find themselves on a path toward a fulfilling and impactful speaking career. Whether speaking on the biggest stages or in intimate settings, the ability to move, inspire, and educate audiences is a skill that will always be in demand. Your first speech, a step-by-step guide. Putting it all into action, the moment has arrived. After learning the techniques, understanding the principles, and refining skills needed for public speaking, it's time to step onto the stage and deliver the first speech. This is both an exciting and nerve-wracking experience. The first speech is always the hardest, but it is also the most transformative. It marks the beginning of a journey, one that will evolve with each speaking opportunity. No matter how much preparation has gone into it, the first speech will feel like uncharted territory. The key is to embrace the process and focus on taking the first step rather than striving for perfection. Every great speaker, from historical figures to modern-day influencers, had a first speech. It might have been clumsy, filled with nerves, or even riddled with mistakes, but it was necessary. The fear of speaking in front of others is something that never fully disappears. It simply becomes more manageable with experience. The first speech is about proving to oneself that public speaking is possible. The doubts, the nervousness, and the self-consciousness will try to take over, but pushing through them is what builds confidence. Preparation is the foundation of a successful first speech. Writing out the content and structuring it in a way that makes sense ensures a strong starting point. A clear beginning, middle, and end create a roadmap that makes speaking feel less intimidating. The opening should be engaging, something that captures attention immediately. Whether it's a personal story, a surprising fact, or a thought-provoking question, the first few sentences set the tone. The middle section should build upon the main message, flowing logically from one point to another. Finally, the conclusion should reinforce the key takeaway and leave a lasting impression on the audience. Rehearsal is where confidence begins to grow. Speaking the words out loud, practicing in front of a mirror, recording and listening to playback. All of these techniques help refine delivery. Rehearsing in front of a small, trusted audience such as family or friends can provide valuable feedback and ease the fear of public scrutiny. The more familiar the speech becomes, the less intimidating it feels. Memorization is not the goal. Rather, the objective is to internalize the flow of ideas so that the speech feels natural rather than scripted. Nervousness is inevitable, but it doesn't have to be a roadblock. Even experienced speakers get nervous before stepping onto a stage. The trick is to channel that nervous energy into enthusiasm. Taking deep breaths, visualizing a successful speech, and using positive affirmations can help reframe fear into excitement. Accepting that some nerves are normal removes the pressure of trying to eliminate them entirely. The audience is not there to judge. They are there to listen and learn. Keeping this in mind shifts the focus from self-consciousness to connection. And stepping onto the stage or standing before an audience for the first time is a defining moment. The initial rush of adrenaline can make everything feel overwhelming, but grounding techniques such as taking a slow breath, making eye contact with a friendly face, and starting with a well-practiced opening line can ease the transition. The first few sentences set the pace, and once the speech is in motion, the initial anxiety starts to fade. Speaking at a steady pace, allowing natural pauses, and making use of gestures help maintain a confident presence. Mistakes will happen, and that's perfectly okay. A stumble over words, a brief mental blank, or an unexpected distraction is not the end of the world. What matters is how they are handled. If a word is forgotten, taking a moment to gather thoughts and moving forward is the best approach. If a sentence doesn't come out as planned, simply rephrasing it and continuing prevents unnecessary awkwardness. The audience is far more forgiving than one might assume. Most people won't even notice small errors unless they are pointed out. And engagement is what transforms a speech from a monologue into an experience. Eye contact creates a sense of connection, making the audience feel included rather than spoken at. Using natural body language, hand gestures, purposeful movement, and facial expressions adds depth to the message. A speech that feels conversational is far more effective than one that sounds robotic. If appropriate, humor or personal anecdotes can help break the ice and make the speech more relatable. As the speech progresses, the realization begins to set in. It's actually happening. The words are being spoken, the message is being delivered, and the audience is listening. Any lingering fear starts to diminish, replaced by a sense of control and presence. There is a rhythm to speaking that only becomes apparent once fully immersed in it. Time seems to move differently, and before long, the speech is nearing its conclusion. This is the moment to reinforce the key message, to leave the audience with something memorable. A strong closing line, whether it's a call to action, a thought-provoking statement, or a heartfelt thank you, ensures that the speech ends with impact. The final words are spoken, and then comes the silence before the audience responds. Applause, nods of approval, or even just the realization that it's over bring an immense sense of accomplishment. The first speech is officially complete. It may not have been perfect, but it was a milestone. The nerves, the preparation, the effort, it all led to this moment. And now, with the first speech behind them, the speaker is no longer just someone learning about public speaking. They are now someone who has actually done it. Reflection is a crucial part of the process. Looking back on the experience, identifying what went well and what could be improved helps shape future performances. Maybe the pacing was too fast, or maybe certain parts felt rushed. Perhaps the audience responded positively to specific sections, signaling areas of strength. Learning from this first speech, rather than dwelling on perceived mistakes, is how growth happens. What follows is momentum. Having delivered one speech, the fear of speaking is no longer the same as before. Confidence is built through action, and this first step is the most significant one. The next speech will feel slightly less daunting, and the one after that even more manageable. Public speaking is a skill that improves with practice, and each new opportunity brings another chance to refine and enhance the craft. The journey has begun. The first speech was not just about delivering words to an audience, it was about proving that it could be done. Now, armed with experience, newfound confidence, and the knowledge that speaking in front of others is not an impossible feat, the door is open to countless possibilities. Whether it's another presentation, a bigger audience, or an entirely new challenge, the speaker is ready to move forward. And that is where the real adventure begins.